All right, welcome to BAM Fight Club. I'm Colby. This is Fern, and we are previewing UFC Fight Night Grasso versus Araujo, taking place shortly today at 1 o'clock Pacific. The fights are taking place at the UFC Apex in Las Vegas, Nevada. And Fern, let's go ahead and just get right into the lineup here. We're going to do a quick run through the 5 fights on the main card, and the first fight is between Song Kao and Victor Henry. Henry coming in as a negative 400 favorite. And I don't know if you remember, I think he had his UFC debut in his last fight, and he was a huge underdog and it ended up winning. Had an awesome fight for his debut. Asanko is coming off of a 4-fight losing streak, has been in the UFC, I don't know, 15, 16 fights at this point. So he's going on a quite a skid. Has got to be worried about what's going to be happening with his contract if he ends up with 5 in a row. What are your thoughts on this one, Fern?
Rafael Assunção has been around for a really long time. I think Victor Henry is definitely an up-and-coming fighter. With Assunção kind of having the record he has wins over Dillashaw in the past. Has a pretty amazing resume. I think this is going to be like a do or die for him. Like, I could see him, depending on the outcome of this. He's got 4 losses in his last one, 2 of those by KO back to back. Basically he's fighting once a year at this point. I don't know if he still has it in him, if he still wants to fight. He's lost to Ricky Simon, Cody Garbrandt, Corey Sandhagen, Marlon Moraes, Rob. His last one was in 2018. So I don't know.
It was a good one. It was a good one over Rob Font for sure.
Yeah. So. Yeah, so I definitely think he might have a chance, but it's gonna be, I would say the odds are against him. So I'm gonna go pick with a newcomer on this one. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm definitely picking Henry to win on this one. Do you recall the last fight that was just an absolute brawl? If I remember correctly, Henry. And it kind of goes along with his style. He gets the crap kicked out of him for the first round. The guy just gets tired of punching. It seems like
the Homer Simpson.
Yeah, and then just brings it on after wearing the guy down endurance wise a bit. So I see Henry. He's got to be coming off the high. He's got that momentum. He got over the pressure of his first fight in the UFC, even though he's not a newcomer by any means. I mean, he's obviously a longtime veteran. Won a championship in LXF right before coming into the UFC, and has a pretty good record. So, yeah, I'm going to stick with Henry on this one. I think the odds are right. I don't see a lot of value in betting on Sanko on this one. Next up, we've got Misha Serkinov versus Alonzo Menafield. And Menafield's coming in as a negative 200 favorite on this fight. What are your thoughts on this one, Fern?
I would say, Misha Serkinov is definitely, in my opinion, he's going to be the guy looking to bring it. He's training out of Extreme Couture. He's going to have a heavy wrestling background. He's a big dude, like 6'3" for the weight class. Light heavyweight, coming off of 3 losses. But really, I think he's got the foundation to, bring it to Alonzo Menafield. Menafield, from what I've seen, he's kind of more of a stand-up fighter. And, on the smaller side, I'd say, he's 6 feet tall for light heavyweight. And I don't know, you're seeing these guys who are, cutting down to light heavyweight, who are coming in like 240. And, it's just, I think the size might play a factor in this. He won his last fight by, looks like TKO elbows, at the end of round 1. But before that, he lost to William Knight, beat Ed Herman. I just don't see the experience being on Alonzo Menafield's side. I'm going to go with Misha Serkinov on this one.
And yeah, it's interesting if you look at the not the straight odds of the money line, but if you look at the odds to win by KO, Menafield's only a plus 100 to win by KO, which is interesting. Serkinov's a plus 900 to win by KO. So I think the odds makers are saying Menafield's either going to get a knockout or I think he's going to end up potentially going to decision. Or actually, you know what? I see he's even got Serkinov's got even better odds to win by submission than Menefield does have odds to win by decision, which is interesting. But yeah, both of these guys just absolute tanks. I expect that, yeah, they're going to throw hands. I think both guys have decent grappling defense. They both seem to have pretty good takedown defense. And yeah, I think I'm going to go with the odds makers on this one and not just call Menefield to win, but to win by KO.
Decisively.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I look forward to this one, for sure. It's gonna be what I was like when we were at the Diaz Ferguson fight. I guarantee, like, this is Canada versus US. I love I love these matchups out, because just having been there, there's gonna be like somebody like USA.
Yeah. And Caitlin in the chat is saying, meow, cute phone case, Fern.
Oh, I always have the cat cases. I have a lot of cats and always a fighting cat or something, but yeah.
Nice. Let's see. What's the next fight up? We have Jordan Wright versus Dusko Todorovic. Todorovic coming in as a -210 favorite. And this one's interesting. Jordan Wright coming off of 2 losses. Todorovic coming off of a loss as well. So both of these guys coming into this match, got to go through that mental battle before they even get into the octagon. And Jordan Wright's last 2 fights, he didn't just lose, he lost in the first round getting finished, which I think is a really big deal. His last loss was by submission, and before that it was by KO. So that's not looking good when guys are taking you out in every, and with grappling and with striking. That's got to be rough. And Todorovic, man, I can't say the guy's name. His loss also was in the first round by KO, so he also got finished in his last matchup. So I feel like this is a good matchup in terms of, neither guy's going to have a great advantage mentally. Momentum's not on either one of these guys' sides. And as far as who I think is going to win, I actually think I like Jordan Wright's. I think he's got good grappling, which I think is going to wear down Todorovic. Todorovic is a pretty strong guy, pretty powerful fighter. So I expect Jordan to be able to beat him out with some endurance if he weathers that first round. I see Wright potentially being able to lay it on in the second and third rounds. What are your thoughts?
That last fight, Dusko Todorovic against Chidi, and Njokuani, was a good fight, but he got finished pretty hard. Like, he's got a long, rangy style. You can definitely see his stand-up is his background. I when I saw him, I was like, I don't see how this guy cuts down. Like, he's just bulky. With Chidi being a lot leaner and having the cleaner striker, I think that was a big difference. I think, it's going to play a big factor. These guys have more more losses than wins in their last couple of fights. Todorovic has 1 win, out of his last 4, and Jordan has same thing, 1 win out of his last 4. So I think they're both going to hopefully come out looking to strike, looking to stand out, because I don't know. I could see either one of these guys. With some of the people I've seen being cut lately from the UFC, it wouldn't surprise me if they got cut. like you gotta win, and you gotta compete, and you gotta do something, bring something to the table, because there's just so many guys up and coming with the Dana White Contender Series. There's just so many people, and you're just like, you gotta stand out. And them being on the main card, I think, kind of says something to it. Maybe they'll have another chance after this, but it's like they gotta do something. It's just
what do you think about the when I'm looking at the stats, it seems like whether significant strikes or grappling, Jordan seems to have the definite advantage in terms of volume, in terms of strikes landed per minute, significant strike accuracy, grappling. He's almost doubles the amount of takedowns that Todorovic has, and has 100% takedown defense. So do you, You think it's going to be Todorovic to win is going to have to just rely on his power and try to get right out quick? Do you see that analysis playing out, or do you see something different happening?
Just looking at the stats, Jordan Wright has uh, 7 significant strikes landed per minute. Just way more. I think he's also absorbed more per minute. So, but yeah, he lands more strikes per minute, has more significant strikes, grappling, the takedown defense, the takedown accuracy, the takedown average. I would agree. Well, you're picking Jordan Wright, right?
Yeah.
I would agree with that pick.
All right, we're got a underdog pick there. We both agree on. Let's go to the next one. Okay, yeah, can't wait to see this one. Cub Swanson versus Jonathan Martinez. Cub Swanson coming in as a plus 175 underdog. What do you think about this fight, Fern?
Love Cub Swanson. He's been around for so long. Anyone who's followed his fights from his days back in the WEC, just always comes and shows out. He's got wins over Charles Oliveira, Dustin Poirier. Has fights against Max Holloway, Brian Ortega, but in his last couple fights, he's done really well. He lost against Giga, who like at that point everyone was losing to the Giga kick. That kind of pissed me off because he lost like a minute in. It was like the first kick loss. But he beat Darren Elkins his last fight, and Darren Elkins is like we mentioned the Homer Simpson, fighter earlier. Darren Elkins just gets beat up, and like I don't know, he's one of those fighters that you should I don't know, you got to kill to finish. And Jonathan Martinez is gonna have to come hard on this one. Love Cub. I'm always gonna root for those old school guys. I'm gonna pick him. Jonathan's got a lot of like youth, explosiveness. I'm just gonna go with Cub on this one. I want the old guys to keep winning, like, cause they're gonna be gone, man. This new generation is like taking over,
Yeah, and real quick, Court Gesture in the chat says Cub Swanson should retire. He's done. He's a legend, though. So, yeah. If you look at the difference in age, yeah, Cub Swanson 10 years older than his opponent Martinez. And one thing I think is interesting too, it probably plays to Cub's favor is being an older fighter. If you look at his last 2 fights, his last fight he won in the first round, 2 minutes in. Before that he lost, but it was in the first round. So even though he went out, he didn't take like a ton of damage during the fight. Before that, ended up winning early on in the second round. So going back over the past couple of years, all the way back to if you say since October of 2019, he's only had a total of like 5 minutes of fight time, which is interesting. I feel like that means he's probably going to be fresh, which is why he looked good in his last fight. So looking forward to this one. Whereas with Martinez, you look at Martinez's last 3 fights, they went all 3 rounds. So he's got 15 minutes, 45 minutes of fight time going back to just October of 2021. So in terms of being active, which is typically a good thing, you want to see a fighter fighting a lot and maintaining their activity to maintain their skill level. But I feel like maybe there's a certain point in the career where that actually plays, against you. So I feel like Cub's going to have a bit of an advantage to help offset that age disparity. And I kind of leaning towards Martinez, but I'll pick another underdog pick, and I'll go with Cub Swanson on this one. My question is, how do you think he's going to end up winning this one? Is it going to be that boxing? Do you think he's going to bust out something new we haven't seen from him in a while? Or
I think Cub's going to come out looking to strike, looking to kind of not be bullied by the younger, probably fresher fighter. And, I hope that him just keeping his composure is what's going to let him land a solid punch and rock Martinez. Because I think Martinez is going to have speed, is going to have volume. Cubs just got to keep his composure and just look to drop it. Like, he's been in so many battles that he knows how to fight out of being hurt, and I think that's going to help him to his advantage. He's lost every kind of way. So like it's gonna be. I don't see him. I don't see him getting in trouble, or if he, gets stunned or something, having difficulty navigating out of it. I'm gonna go with Cub. Like I want to see these
Okay.
guys, go out on a high note and not be, beat up at the end of it all.
Yeah. All right. And last up on the main card, Alexa Grasso versus Viviani Araujo. Araujo coming in as a plus 190 underdog. So um, pretty heavily favoring Grasso on this one in terms of the odds. Grasso is coming off of a first round submission win over Joanne Wood just back in March. So she's fought not too long ago. She's should be fresh. And similarly with Araujo, her last fight was in May, although that was a win by unanimous decision, win all 3 rounds. What's your breakdown on this one, Fern?
Looking at their previous fights, I would have to agree it's going to be difficult to go against Grasso on this one. Looking at the records, with Grasso alone, just her win over Macy Barber just makes me love her. I'm not a fan of Macy Barber at all. So her having beat Macy Barber, having beat Ji Yeon Kim, who are both kind of more aggressive, strike heavy fighters, I think she's going to have the stand up advantage. Um, last fight that Vivian lost was against Caitlin Chukagian. Caitlin Chukagian is an awesome fighter. Just reminds me of like a Steve Wonderboy Thompson. Just high work output, how high work rate. I think that definitely Grasso for me is going to be the favorite. Just again, just due to the experience. And I hope to see one of these challenging for a title and just bring in some new blood. Like I love that it's a women's fight on the main card, main event. Like I am just the women fights are just showing off all year long. Like I just think that they've taken it to a whole nother level, and I'm excited for this one for sure.
Yeah, they've been competitive, and I don't have any extra great insights to offer on this one. I feel like it's going to take place in the stand up. Uh, I think that even though Araujo is older, Grasso now has what almost like 10 fights in the UFC at this point. Which actually, now now I just look at it, not many more fights than Araujo, but I think the wins that Grasso has are probably a bit more impressive. Brenda Marcos, like you mentioned, J.C. Barber, Joanne Wood. It's a pretty good fights to have, wins to have on the resume for sure. I'm going to pick Grasso on this one. Yeah, I think she's just too skilled in the stand up. Araujo is a little bit taller. And she's pretty fast, and she has pretty good takedown defense. But I think Grasso is just better all around. So I'm going to pick Grasso on this one. And Court Gesture says Grasso's a beast. When is Ezekiel's next fight? Not. Oh, Ezekiel. Yeah, when is
Oh, we'll
Ezekiel's next
mention
fight?
that after this. Yeah, definitely, we'll go out with that.
Okay. And Caitlin says, "Heck yeah, women fights for the win." Um, yeah. So that's all for the analysis for today. Why don't you go ahead and talk about
Yeah, shout out
Ezekiel?
to Ezekiel Flores. He was just posted with Jesse Bam Bam as a fighter who they're training with in their fight camp. They have 33 KOs together between three fighters and like no losses. So doing big things. He was supposed to fight this Saturday. It got rescheduled due to an opponent injury. Last Saturday, and so we'll keep posting about him. And I look forward to keep posting about more fighters in the community, more fighters out there, and keep following us. Sorry for being not streaming as consistently. I have class on Saturday, so we're streaming on my lunchtime. But guess what? This is like I love doing this. Like it just reminds me like fights are back on. There's a bunch of boxing matches on today. UFC, like today is a fight day, and expect a lot of posts from us on Instagram, Facebook. Yeah, just coming back, man. It's just I love having been to an actual fight and just like knowing what's gonna happen and the vibe and Yeah, we're excited for this one. The women's fights have been great. The last, fight we were at, the women put on a great fight, and we saw a new finish. It was an up kick to the liver, and that was awesome to see that the women are just becoming more diverse with their striking, doing moves that even the guys haven't done, and finishes that the guys haven't done.
Yeah,
And
that one was brutal. I was so confused when it
yeah.
happened. I had no idea it was a liver kick because of the reaction. I just assumed it was like up kick to the face. So yeah, that was crazy to see. And yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in. We'll post the updates on the socials, and we'll